Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Mind Your Nest. I'm your host, Jennifer Rosen, and I can't say enough about my guest today. I absolutely adore her. From the first time I met her, she's light and joyful. I don't think I've ever seen her without a smile. She truly lights up a room. Her name is Melinda Twillie-Bryant. She is a brand relationship and growth advisor, building authentic relationships and driving business growth. I met her at a group called The Room Where It Happens sometime last year. I was hooked. She's smart, vivacious, and all of the good stuff. So without further ado, hi, Melinda.
Hola.
How are you?
I'm doing amazing.
So good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
It's a pleasure. And the two of us really dressed for the podcast this morning.
Too bad you can't see it, guys.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
I am going to post the picture. So you're going to see how vivacious we really are in person. And I think we both love to smile.
Yeah. Smiling for me is something that I kind of grew up with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember walking down the hallway in junior high and they're like, "You're just always smiling." I'm like, "I get it from my mom."
I know. You know, it's funny because I get that from my dad, who's been gone for almost 9 years. When he walked in the room, you're like, oh, Jay's here.
Yeah.
With this smile on his face. I worked for him and my younger brother for a little over 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of what time it was, could have been 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he'd walk in. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
My mom is a principal broker for a real estate firm in Arkansas. She tells this story of one day she was having a very hard principal broker kind of day and she had to stop by the bank. She caught her reflection in the glass at the bank. And she said she saw lines in her forehead, like a scowl.
Mm-hmm.
She's, "Oh my goodness, let me fix my face." She said she intentionally put on a smile and then she made it her business to every person she made eye contact with to smile and speak to them.
That's fantastic.
So she's doing her thing at the bank. She comes out. She's about to put the car into reverse. And this woman comes running out of the bank up to her window. My mom's kind of scared. She rolls down her window just a smidge.
Right.
The woman has tears in her eyes. She's saying, "I just had to let you know that I was having the most horrible day. Everything is going wrong in my life, but your smile reminded me that there was still good in the world." And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's become my story. That's what I remember whenever I'm going through anything. Just smile.
I agree. There are amazing things that you could do to really turn your frown upside down.
Yeah.
I don't know who came up with that saying, but I do love it, whether for yourself or with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it is an immediate, sometimes, like your mother, it took, a couple of minutes. You get that response right away. I would always say that the people that I have the most trouble making eye contact with is a very good looking man, especially with blue eyes. And I do my best to focus on the space in between your eyes. And it kind of reminds me when I was pregnant with both of my children and I had to tell my dad, and he has piercing blue eyes. I couldn't look at him in the eyes because I'm like, well, he knows it's an immaculate conception, but I just don't want to admit that, obviously.
That's interesting because I actually make it my business to look people dead into the eye.
Yes, but for my dad, I was like admitting, I don't think I've ever said this before on my podcast, but admitting that I actually had sex twice. And I was like, oh my God, that's my dad. I can't admit that and look in his eyes. In any event, everything turned out he was in bliss. Yeah. But a good-looking guy with blue eyes, maybe because I'm matching his blue eyes with my blue eyes.
Maybe,
and
you feel like you'll melt into his eyes. With the dress you have on today, you would completely melt into blue eyes.
Exactly. Yeah. So I do agree. And the other thing, and in addition to a smile, is giving somebody a hug. And I'm a hugger.
Yeah.
Like when I saw you,
Yeah.
people that I first meet, even clients, or if I'm meeting somebody for the first time, I don't know, there's just something about it.
I mean, there's most situations I'm greeting with a hug, with the exception of, you want to also be very aware of people's spaces, especially after COVID, right? Yeah. Everyone wasn't hugging. And I was like, what? Come on in for it.
Same with me.
But yeah, I do believe that there are spiritual implications to our smiles and our hugs.
Yeah.
My smile, it's literally, it's a defiance. It's a defiance to the crap that happens in our life.
Yeah.
It's defiance to like depression and all that. No, I'm going to smile. It takes more muscles, I think, to frown or something like that.
Yes.
So I intentionally smile on purpose, not to be fake. I don't want a fake smile.
Right. Oh,
But
absolutely.
I
And you
want,
could tell those.
you can. Yeah. My son was an actor all through elementary and junior high. He actually has an actor's smile that he puts on. The camera comes out, the smile comes on, and then it literally drops. He was like, yeah, I just have to fake it till I make it. I get it, babe. But just find that genuineness inside.
Try, dig deep, dig really
deep.
deep. I have an admission to make. I got my eyes done last year, and I loved my plastic surgeon, Dr. Edward Davidson, who I've had on the podcast.
Okay.
I've gone to him for follow-ups, and I just love him. First of all, he's from London, and I could listen to him talk all day long.
I love a good accent.
And the last time I saw him, he told me, and not in a negative way, but that I have a really big smile.
Okay.
So when I have a really big smile, apparently, that, the wrinkles come out.
Ditto.
So
It's one of those things. So Daniel Wakefield, who is an amazing headshot photographer, but photographer, period. If you've never gone to Top Tier Headshots to get a headshot, that was a little shameless plug. He didn't pay anything for that.
That's all good. I just plugged a few people on here. So,
so he did my headshots. Love them. People always like, oh my goodness, this is a fabulous picture. But after I got the deck of the ones that I bought, there is one in particular, has a beautiful pink background. I love it. But when I zoom in, I'm like, what? Why did he add wrinkles? So I call him. I'm like, Daniel, the pictures look amazing. But the only thing is, did you go and add wrinkles to it because you thought maybe it showed wisdom or something? And he's no. But it's the pictures where I have the biggest smile.
yes. A girlfriend of mine who I will not mention, you always have the same kind of smile. And it's not like your big smile that I'm used to seeing when we're all together, laughing and joking and hysterical.
Okay.
And I said to her, I think that my wrinkles are you can see them. You can't see my smile. You can see the wrinkles. Hey, look at her wrinkles. Right, exactly. So I said, when taking pictures, I really try to tone it down a little bit so I don't look completely overjoyed.
I should probably try that because I share a grin a lot. And it's not, but I should because the wrinkles definitely become more pronounced. Just like when we took a picture here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I'm just looking older. But it's not older. It's me. I'm smiling too hard.
Completely, yes. And now when I take pictures, I'm like, can I just see the picture? can we do a few redos just in case?
It's a must.
Yeah.
I was telling someone the other day, me and candids don't go hand in hand at all.
I know.
Let me see that picture because I don't know what you just captured. I promise you that if you caught me off guard, I look like an ogre.
Right. So last year, Janine and a bunch of our girlfriends got together. We had brunch, and then we went to the dollar store because we were looking for things for New Year's Eve, and we had a vision board get together. Yeah. And I was wearing a cute dress with flip-flops, and my hair was just insane, like crazy. I didn't either put enough stuff in it. It was longer, and then I wind up putting a clip in it. So they, of course, were taking pictures while we were at the dollar store because we met friends there.
Yeah.
I see one of the pictures posted. And, of course, there I am, right there in the aisle. And I'm kind of a cross between a potential bag lady who just rolled out of bed and threw a dress on, very disheveled.
Right.
And then, I started looking at my arms and then my profile. I'm like, we're not doing this anymore. I
know. But you know what? It's also funny. I don't know that I look at my pictures for self-deprecation and like going a depressive state. More like a, wow, that's hilarious. Look at you kind of thing. Like I laugh at myself.
Yeah.
I actually, so funny. It was my first day at Friedman Elder Law. Back in 2021, I used to work for Heidi Friedman. And
I love her. She was a guest.
Was she a guest?
Of course.
Shout out to Heidi.
Honey, I hang with
all the good people.
All the good people.
Yeah. So I was her vice president of business development, which was really just a fancy term for I was her marketer. It was my very first day. And whenever I have any sort of like life changing or something, like I'm going out of town tomorrow, I have to go to the beach. So I decided to go to the Sunrise the morning of my first day with Heidi. And I'm with my daughter, and my daughter is snapping pictures of everything. And so later on that day, I'm going through the pictures, and I'm like, how? There was a man that was in the pictures that was standing at the water's edge. I didn't remember seeing him. So I'm going and I'm going, I'm like, this looked like a big black man, you know? And I go and I zoom in and no, it's me. It's me.
What was
Yeah.
your initial reaction?
Oh my gosh. What in the world have I done? It wasn't just how it probably was like the pants that I had on
Yes.
and the shirt and
whole-
the
and the
shadow
shot.
and the shot. It was literally one of the first stories I told Heidi when I showed up
Oh,
that day. You got to hear about this.
I'm sure she completely appreciated
Oh, we
that.
cracked up.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. I mean, I'm the first one to dive right into the self-deprecation
Yeah.
with a lot of giggles and laughter. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how my dad was. And you just got to giggle, you know? Some days you look great, $1,000,000, and some days,
Well,
know,
I
your
mean,
shots are
it's
terrific.
also one of our, what do they call it when you're doing something to try to protect yourself? It's a defense mechanism, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think I learned how to laugh at myself back in middle school. My mom homeschooled us for a couple of years when it was junior high. I think it was my 7th grade year. And no, it was 8th grade. I got a lot of jokes cracked on me by the football team and everything else. I had a lot of nicknames because my last name was Twillie. It was Twillie, Tweety Bird, Grandma, because I was shopping at thrift stores before everyone else was. So
Love a good thrift
yeah,
store.
I mean, hello, where
Love.
did I get this t-shirt?
Yeah.
At Goodwill?
That's right.
And so anyway, I had a lot of jokes that would be thrown my way. And my way of responding was to laugh with them. They were hilarious. Yeah, I am Grandma. They would sing when I walked into the room, Grandma got ran over by a reindeer.
Oh, my God.
But as a young girl, I'm 12, 13, and I'm like, I can't let this defeat me. I can't let
Right.
them think that they won. So again, my smile is a defiance. My laugh many times is defiance.
Right.
I'm going to laugh at myself. I'm going to see the man on the beach and I'm going to crack up that
That's
it's
right.
me, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, I feel you. I'm right there with you. However, my experience when I was, I think, 12 or 13, I got called horrific names on the bus. This one name, I could not pretend and I couldn't laugh. And they called me Moby Dick.
Okay.
On the
It's like a
bus.
whale. Was Moby Dick the whale?
Yeah, the big whale. And
Ah,
I mean, so devastating
Yeah.
completely by
yeah.
these boys back then who now are my age and who I've seen, and I never went and said anything to them.
Be real that our weight in our culture is always hands off. I never had weight jokes when I was out because apparently I wasn't actually fat, but in my mind I was, and it
Right.
was because of my brothers. They used to call me Jolly Rancher. It was a stupid name because they got it because Jolly Rancher, because you know Santa Claus is jolly, and they were like, "Oh, Jolly Rancher." And then when I would get mad, they would literally put their fingers on their head like horns, and then they would go, "Oh, she's mad," and they would start doing that bull nostril
Yep.
thing and start moving their foot like a matador, and they call me a bull. So Jolly Rancher, bull, and it was all around my weight. It was the only thing that ever hurt my feelings.
I would
Everything
agree.
else I laughed about. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. It's something about our weight perception, and it has a lot to do with our culture.
I mean, I've definitely moved on from it, but the sting doesn't sting as much anymore. I'm
Yeah.
58. This happened over 40 years ago. I'll just never forget. I really want to take a hard right turn because I love the name of The Room Where It Happens.
Yeah,
And I
like that you
think
sung
I'm
that.
singing. I know. Well, I learned that from you. Where did it come from?
So, you know, in the senior healthcare space, which I had come out of, I was in it for 12 years. Prior to that, I was in nonprofit, banking, real estate. But the senior healthcare space is the only one that I was in that had the heaviest networking component. When I was a real estate agent, of course we networked. When I was in banking, of course I networked. When I was in nonprofit, of course I networked. But it felt so heavy and so unfulfilling inside of the senior healthcare space. I mean, and I don't want to say a whole bunch of names of all the different networking
Of
groups,
course not.
but there are a ton.
Yes.
And they all have their place. I call them necessary evils because you got to meet new people,
Yes.
especially if you're newer to the industry. I encourage people to show up at those spaces. Everyone has a networking event. I also encourage people to go and support people and meet new people. But I was getting burned out. My son talks about his social battery. and how it gets drained. And I never really thought about that.
And for the audience, April and Melinda would sing "The Room Where It Happened."
We would sing Opportunity Time, which I'll
Oh,
sing
yes.
for you in a
All
minute.
right.
But yeah, so April actually, one day she was leaving out of a networking event that we both showed up for. I was going into the event. And she comes up. I'm like, "You're leaving already? It just started. You just got here." She was like, "I just don't have the spoons." And I'm like, "The what?" "The spoons." I'm like, "What are spoons?" She was like, "Yeah, I don't know. You just start with them and then sometimes you don't have any left." And I'm like, "What is this?" So I learned later that in the chronic pain world, they talk about that. You start the day with so many spoons and sometimes you have enough, sometimes you don't, sometimes you run out. Any rate, I started using it, and then also social battery. All of that to say that's where I was when it
Right.
came to networking. I know a lot of people. I am so blessed to be connected with so many incredible people in and out of the senior healthcare industry in the nonprofit space, but I get overloaded.
Yeah.
And so inside of that overloading, I recognized that it really wasn't serving me and it wasn't serving the people I was connecting with. You're networking, you're handing out business cards, you go to a networking event, there's a speaker, there's a breakfast, and then at the end, everyone's rushing to try to connect with the person that they think is going to bring them the most value. It is nauseating for me. I can't do it anymore. But I recognize, which is why I started Twillie-Bryant Creative, that people do business with people they know, like, and trust.
That's
The
right.
power is in the relationship. And not just I know the person, I got the business card, or
Right.
even I went to lunch with them.
Right.
I genuinely connected with them. I just always found myself wanting to be around like-minded professionals that have that same heart.
Right.
A long time ago, there was a group called SNALA. It was the Skilled Nursing and Assisted Living Alliance.
I've heard that
Yeah.
before, in the room where it happens, and I never knew what it stood for.
The Skilled Nursing and Assisted Living Alliance. It was actually started by Kokesha Powell, and she's no longer in South Florida. She's in Virginia now. We are good friends. She was the president. I was the vice president, and we always said it wasn't another networking group. It was a
Yeah.
intentional culture space, more of a support group for professionals.
I'm sure.
Instead of trying to get business, we were genuinely connecting because we wanted to know each other and bring value to each other. We ended SNALA back in 2021 with a party that had a SNALA, like the Friends logo.
Fantastic.
And then it said the final episode, the one where we say goodbye.
Oh.
It was incredible. It was so SNALA-esque.
Yeah.
Okay. It was exactly the kind of thing that we did. But once it was over, it left a big gaping hole for me and other people too, who were like, "I miss SNALA. I miss that type of connection."
Right.
And I was like, "I do too." And then on top of it, I love Hamilton. In the Broadway play Hamilton, there is a song called "The Room Where It Happens."
Oh.
Alexander Burr, the antithesis of Hamilton. What's his name? Aaron Burr. Sorry, Aaron Burr.
Okay.
Thank you. So Aaron Burr, he's outside of the room where these guys are in the birth of the United States of America. They're in this room laying down all the groundwork and he's not in it. And he's singing, "I want to be in the room where it happens, the room where it happens, the room where it happens." I love that song and I love the production. I love Broadway. So I thought that's the name, The Room Where It Happens. And someone was like, "That's a really long name, Melinda." I'm like, "Do you know me?" I don't care. Yeah. As a matter of fact, you're right. It is too long. Maybe it's not the room for you.
Right.
So The Room Where It Happens is an intentional culture space for like-minded professionals. It's a relationship building space.
Yep.
Like-minded meaning people that walk into that room don't walk in looking to see who they can connect with
Right.
so they can get business, who's going to give the best ROI, best use of time.
Yep.
Like-minded professionals walk in to see who they can connect with so they can bring value to them, genuinely connect with them and build a relationship. They understand people do business with people that know, like, and trust. So why don't I spend money, time, and resources on that? Hence Twillie-Bryant Creative. That's my brand of brand development is relationship. When I started The Room Where It Happens at Freeman Elder Law, it kind of moves, and that's what it is. It's not exclusive. It's just invitation only. It's a hashtag if you know kind of space. So when people are like, "What do y'all do?" I'm trying to see if it's worth it for me to show up.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, hashtag if you know. And maybe it's not, but you should come see because
it
there's
out.
people that walk in that are not like-minded, but they become like-minded.
Yep.
Because maybe we also want to have grace with people, right? This is why it's not exclusive.
Right.
Because we're not trying to cast people out because shame that you don't
Exactly.
understand
Yeah.
relationship building. So
All right. A couple things. Number one, I felt immediately comfortable when I sat next to April at a networking event through the Chamber of Commerce, which I joined after I left the corporate world to start my own business, Mind Your Nest. I don't believe there are any coincidences in life, and April is darling and adorable.
My sister.
I mean, the two of you, I got such a kick out of every time seeing you together. You fed off of each other, your smiles and your lightness, just having a great time. I knew right when I walked in the room exactly what it was. And I was so relieved as well. I grew up, my dad was an accountant and a businessman. My younger brother's an accountant. My older brother's an attorney. I learned from my dad, who is old school, how important relationships were, like authentic relationships. That was just something our family knew how to do. You know, I've always been in the service industry and would always love meeting people and then finding out who our connections were, because that was like another glue to solidify the relationship.
Right.
Oh, you're Jay's daughter. Oh, you're Jeff's sister. Oh, you're Jim's sister. When I was working at Temple Jeremiah, doing all their business and financial operations, we had congregants that knew both of my brothers and knew my dad. My younger brother was their accountant, and it was the coolest thing.
Feels
And
like family.
and it wasn't like the validation. I always looked at it like, this is how I was raised. We have integrity. We do business in a space where we know personal financial information about people or personal information. And for me, as well as for my family, that was really important, to have trusted advisors. And when people came into the office, I mean, it was a hug, it was a hello, and it was also like, I'm so grateful, you know, that you are the person that I come to for help. So I always felt like that, even throughout my professional career. Like, it was so important, you know, to
connect
yeah,
genuinely.
correct, exactly. And you're right. Like, you could tell if you're jiving with somebody. I always equate it to going out on a blind date, because to me, I don't know, I feel like the feelings are similar. And when I left the business world here and joined the Chamber of Commerce, I thought that was the best first vehicle for me to start filling my day. I had been in corporate America, just like you, for many years, over 32 years. And so I was used to your business hour schedule, whether it was 8 to 5, 9 to 6, 8 to 7, you know, whatever the case may be. And so now I had to create my own day. And so I thought, okay, we're going to do the chamber. Right. And then from there it spread. I met April, then I met you, then I met other people at the room where it happens. And then from there, like you described, I've been part of other networking groups that are in this senior lifestyle community, and then some that are not part of that community, to give a little balance.
You'd asked me earlier if the room where it happens was for senior living professionals, and I said absolutely not.
Right. Yes.
Definitely. Like, no, don't do that. Because it's not. One, as a senior living professional, I believe that people should recognize that everybody's getting old and everybody knows somebody getting old. Why are you only talking to people who are in the senior living space? I come out of all of those other industries. I know the person in the nonprofit space. I know the banker, and I know the Staples commercial delivery people and in that world, and the MRI world as well too. So chiropractors and personal injury attorneys. And so I feel like it did set me up so well to have that mindset. When you come into those spaces and you see other people only doing those spaces, your heart breaks for them, because you recognize how limited they are and how much more frustrated they must be, because they can't be genuinely connecting if you're only hyper focusing on one industry. There's no way to genuinely connect, because you'll always be thinking about, we connect because we give each other business.
Right. No, I agree. The other thing that I learned, I mean, that I knew intrinsically, was that I'm not a networking and going to 50 networking events a month. I'm a quality over quantity kind of a person. And I do believe that you kind of know in your heart who you really connected with. If you met somebody, it was easy for me to determine that they were only interested in collecting a card. And I have always loved meeting people in different industries. I think it's the coolest thing. I never knew a podcast producer, and now Janine's my producer. Amazing. I don't know what I would do without her. And I think it's the coolest thing, because I grew up in a pretty doctor, lawyers, accountants, businessmen, insurance people. But there's so many other professions out there. And some of the people in those professions, switched. They had a career shift just like I did.
Yeah. And
And
there's so
it's,
many other different worlds out there. Everything's so
yes,
connected. I
yes.
just had the honor and pleasure of being a member at Industrious, which is a co-working space that is international. I just ended my membership. There's things that I wanted to focus on for 2025. But what I loved the most about being there is the connectivity with other industries that I never knew. I knew a lady that owned a trucking business with her husband. Tons of AI firms that are popping up all over the place. Different types of marketing firms that are inside the digital space. I mean, an attorney that was a copyright attorney that also did things in the music industry. It was so fun. Industrious really provided that space. Have you ever been to an Industrious?
No.
Oh my goodness. You got to go into
Okay,
one.
please send me the
So
411.
you walk in, everything is decorated, simplistic yet modern, right? Free breakfast every morning, free printing, snacks throughout the day, coffee, water, all throughout the day. A special elevated snack around 2 o'clock.
That one.
We've had avocado toast for breakfast. We may have a big snack bar or charcuterie board
Oh
or
my gosh.
it is. I say was like it's dead, but since I'm not there, does it even exist anymore?
Exactly.
But no, and just the people, the front desk people, the businesses that had their offices there, have their offices there. It really feeds into what you and I are talking about, meeting people outside of our comfort spaces, our comfort industries, what we think our business comes from.
Right.
And it just opened my eyes to that. I already believed that way, but it helped so much more.
Yeah, I think it's so helpful to always have that in your mind. I look at my friends and how diverse the people in my life have been from all of my life, back in Chicago and then here when I came here. And I think that we exude our own energy and interest authentically. And you could really tell, that, oh my God, I need to say hi to her.
Yeah.
Or, oh my God, there's Twillie, look at her. Oh my God, she's here. Or Janine, I need to go grab her and give her a big hug.
I have to. When I walk into a room, I can't not try to say hello to
Right.
everybody that I know.
I know. Wait, it's so funny because before I moved here, my mom said to me, Jennifer, Faith, I'm not worried about you. You can make friends with the table. And she's right. I do approach get-togethers, gatherings, networking events, or whatever. My daughter's bat mitzvah or my bat mitzvah or our wedding, even though I'm divorced. I like to go around the table and say hello to everybody or go and introduce myself. It's amazing. It's not because I want something from you. It's really an authentic introduction. And you never know what could happen. I do feel like people love to be approached
and recognized. And,
Yes.
Yeah. And
It's very
affirmed.
humbling.
Yeah.
It's very humbling and it's lovely.
And I feel like that should be all of our mission. We
Yeah.
all have different missions and passions, but I think if we all adopted the desire to make other people feel welcome. And I try to instill this into my children as much as I possibly could. They
Right.
will tell you, when I walk into a room, I should be speaking to everyone, not waiting for people to speak to me. You're doing it because it's a loving thing to do. It is loving to walk into a room and connect with that person, not waiting on them to connect with you.
That's right.
There's just so many stories, like my mom's story, her smile from the bank and making the woman's day better. I've had so many people say, oh my goodness, thank you so much. You made me feel welcome. At Industrious, as a matter of fact, one of the young girls that I connected with there, on her first day, she always talks about how she walks in, and I was the first person that was in the front lobby area, and how I made her feel welcome and tried to help her find where her office was and everything. And I'm like, well, that's because that's what we should all be doing. Think about how much better life is when everyone has a singular purpose of honoring other people. Then we never, ever would have to worry about if we are ourselves honored. Because if everyone's doing that, we all would get the honor, and it's just so symbiotic.
Reciprocal way of living your life.
Yeah.
The saying is, someone will say, oh, you say you're a people person, but you're really not.
Yeah.
I'm a people person, like legitimately, authentically. I'd rather be in a room full of people. Sometimes my time spent on my couch, binge watching Netflix is necessary as well.
Yeah.
But I do think that elevates your life to matter a little bit more. And like you said, be a connector and help bringing people together.
Yeah.
Let's say you and I were to walk into a networking event and they're like a bunch of people that we really want to make sure that we chat with. but we're chatting with somebody and we see somebody to our right and we'd like to introduce those two people together. It's, oh my God, Lisa, come over here. You have to meet this person.
Right.
Or you see somebody standing by themselves on their
Right.
phone. You're like, can you hold on one second? And then you say, oh, come over here. Why don't you come chat with us?
Yeah.
Because it is hard for a lot of people, especially if you're truly not a people person,
Right.
to step in and go and introduce yourself.
And we have to just, there's a scripture that says, you who are stronger must bear the infirmity of the weaker. And that's how I address life. If I am stronger and genuinely have been gifted with this, it's a gift that I'm supposed to be giving to others. When I walk into that room and there is someone that doesn't yet have that or won't ever have that desire, that first thought of how do I connect, I'm going to connect them.
Right.
Because I know it's going to bring them value, And I always talk about we're all going to leave this earth one day.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's make sure that we're doing the best that we can with what we're supposed to be doing.
I agree. I'll start chatting up somebody if I'm waiting in line somewhere or if I'm outside. Like yesterday, my mom came in town and I met her just to give her a hug. She was outside of a store and this mom and her 3 kids walked out. The adorable little boy was wearing a Gator shirt. My daughter's graduating from UF in May. I'm like, go Gators. That was it. We were done in a conversation.
My children think it's the most hilarious thing.
My kids are like, really? Do you really have to talk to everybody?
I do.
I said, you bet your bottom dollar that I have to. And it's turned into some amazing friendships and connections, linking a person who may or may not know somebody in the business that my daughter wants to go into post-graduation or my son. You just never know when you start authentically talking to somebody. What do you do? What do you do? How old are your kids? Where are they? All of those things. It just comes out of a natural being curious about other people and not being curious to ask 5 questions. Hi, what's your name? Where are you from? What do you do?
Right.
Where do you live?
Like, genuinely wanting to know.
That's right. Yeah. Because you could tell when people are asking you questions that they just want to hear the answer and then go on to the second. And that's just like the cover of a book.
Right.
There's depth and a lot of layers to a personality.
And I meet these people all the time that, like I said, I'm trying to be gracious and recognize everyone's not there. Everyone's not like-minded, but it's infuriating for me, for people to not get it and understand it because they end up wasting your time. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want you to waste your time either. So let's come into this with this like-minded mindset, and then everything becomes worth it. So now that same question of, hey, where are you from? It has a different response. It has a different end, right? So someone who's not like-minded, oh, where are you from? I'm from Arkansas. Oh, okay, yeah, that's great. I'm from Arkansas. Oh my goodness, I've never been to Arkansas. Tell me about it.
Right.
It's different, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that your authentic self, like who you are, is too much for people?
All the time, and I don't care. I don't care. I can't. I always want to be aware of where people are going through and respectful of spaces and all of that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, if you don't like it, okay, everyone's not going to be my people, and I'm okay with that. That's the other thing that I had to kind of, because once you go into this desire to want to connect with everyone, you also have to be okay with not connecting with everyone, because everyone's not going to connect with you.
That's right.
And that's okay. And that's their problem, but I'm kidding. And I don't want to be egotistical about it, but I just can't care that much if you don't like me. I just can't.
Well, I always say to my kids, my son has gone through his own challenges, that I can't care or want this more than you. Like, you have to want it too. You have to come a little closer and be like, oh, she seems interesting. You never know. I do agree. I am who I am, and that's who I am. And okay, if you're ready to depart the chain of, Jennifer Faith Heckman Rosen, then I wish you well.
Bye-bye.
I mean, that definitely happened, I would say, and I don't want to get into a conversation about this over the past several years. I had lifelong friends for over 40, 45, 50 years. I'm 58 now. And I always believed, and Janine might smirk at me right now, but I grew up with the saying, and I think it's really important. Baskin-Robbins has 31 flavors for a reason. and not everybody has to like chocolate chip. And that's okay. Like, how boring would the world be if we all liked the same flavor?
Right.
That's how we learn and grow
Right.
and question things. And up until several years ago, that all stopped. And so these authentic relationships that I've had for such a long time, you know, we all like different flavors of ice cream. We all like different types of music.
Yeah.
We all like to dress different. Some like the bedazzled or the glittery eyeshadow. Some liked eyeliner, you know. And then all of a sudden it's not absolutely, here's my black permanent marker.
But you know what's my favoritist type of
Oh,
connections?
I like that word.
Are the ones that we are different flavors.
That's
I
right.
love those, and that we still jive together. We'd be in the
Yes.
banana split bowl together.
Exactly.
My best friend, Ruthie, we're completely different, yet the same. She's a little short Laotian Asian girl, and I am a big black girl. But we like completely different things, yet somehow we still jive. This morning, she was telling me on the phone, she was like, "You are so annoying." And I'm laughing, but I love that. I love that. And it doesn't have to be the same. And my heart goes out to those people who can't be around unsameness. I'm making up a lot of words.
I like it.
Unsameness.
Yeah.
They can't be around it. And my heart goes out to them, because how beautiful is it to be around people who are completely different than you?
I agree.
I thrive on that.
Yep.
Because, well, God kind of made only one Melinda Twillie.
One of the things that I always loved about working, and I've never not worked in my life, like my home environment. I mean, I grew up on the northern suburbs of Chicago. Everybody was kind of the same, but not really, you know, but a lot of professionals. I mean, of course, it's not everyone or no one.
Right.
Because when I would start working, I'd meet people from everywhere. They'd be from the Midwest. They'd be from the East Coast. Maybe they grew up in Europe. Maybe they were different religion or practiced something completely different than I. Maybe they grew up with a single parent. That wasn't my experience until 24 years ago. Some were barely surviving from a financial perspective. Some lived in temporary housing. I mean, just very different, but amazing nonetheless, because our connection was work. Especially since I moved to Florida, I've never met more interesting, layered people from completely different cultures than I. And I adore. I absolutely love them, you know? And I just listen, and I've learned to do a couple different things that they like it. I'm like, all right, I'll try too. Why not?
It's a freeing thing to be in that
It
space.
is.
I remember when I was as old as 8 or 9. It's kind of embarrassing. I thought the world revolved around me. Quite literally. I could not comprehend someone leaving school and then going to their house and having conversations and life and experiences. In my mind, basically, people went inside their doors and they powered down until they connected with me again. That was the simplicity of it. I'm sure it was deeper than that, but I really couldn't. What do you mean? You have a mommy and a daddy, and you also have birthday parties and have fun.
Right.
And you also have to make up your bed. It was hard. And I don't know when I grew out of that, but I remember specifically having that mindset. It's limiting. Once you get older and you recognize how many different experiences, many similar experiences, but no one's experience is exact. And I love being able to hear and draw from their experiences too.
I agree. It's almost like when you're looking at a painting, art is especially subjective because everybody thinks it's a little bit different. I'm not getting that vibe from that painting. I'm not really sure. My mother she doesn't paint anymore, was an artist, really more like Monet, loved flowers and like oil and textured. And then she stopped for many years, and then she went back, and then she was doing mixed media, which was a little bit more modern, and you had to provide your own interpretation to what the painting was.
Right.
And it's great to hear other people's take on art, especially.
I love it.
Or music, or all of those creative things, and also non-creative. I don't know. I wouldn't have filed the tax return like that. I would have done it some other way. Okay. Well, it's too late now. We already pressed the send button,
Right.
All right, finally. I want you to tell me a little bit about your business and what is your primary focus. Do you have a specific industry, or is it about the people in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's about the people. So, it's funny, again, people in the same way that you asked, is the room where it happens, healthcare professionals?
Right.
I've gotten many times, oh, as Twillie-Bryant Creative, do you only have clients from the healthcare space? Absolutely not. I have been very blessed to not have to market Twillie-Bryant Creative. My phone just rings. And I say that humbly because it is amazing to know that people trust you and think of you as someone that could help them.
Right.
Some of my first calls in this industry were from the healthcare space. As a matter of fact, shameless plug, my very first client and still my client, Parkside Tamarack, brand new 96-bed memory care community being built in Tamarack, Florida,
Wow.
by Seema Lakhani and her husband. Literally, it's not a corporate build. There's no investors. She is the investor. She is the corporation. But she's
Wow.
amazing. And she has owned Parkside in Boynton for almost 13 years now. She's a nurse herself, 5-star reviews. Her families love her. She's done everything. And so when she got ready to build this brand new construction from the ground, 96-bed memory care, she told me about it before she even started and said, I need you. I want you. And so it was Bishert that literally on the
Yes.
day that I started Twillie-Bryant Creative, she called me and I said, you'll never guess what I just did today. So she was in senior healthcare, obviously, memory care. June McCarthy over at Affordable Medical Supply, Dr. Sobey at Sobey Rehab were some of the first Twillie-Bryant Creative clients. They were from the senior healthcare space.
Right.
Since that time, I have had Lighthouse Chiropractic. I'm currently working under a grant with the Dentist Project, which
What
is
is
a
that?
nonprofit that focuses on STEM education for underprivileged youth, providing the next generation's workforce for STEM, not just children of color, but privileged,
Yeah. And there are a lot of them.
underrepresented. Oh yeah,
I mean,
underrepresented in the STEM space anyway.
yeah.
So it's just incredible to see all of the work. Her name is Ontaria Johnson. I've worked with the salon. I've had a number of different clients, and I also have a two-pronged approach. I have my business development clients, which are normally companies that I am doing the strategy and implementation for, counseling, coming up with those strategies and implementing those for them, from video work. And I work closely with Visuals by Momo to do some video work for my clients. I also have my brand development coaching clients, and this is more individual based. It's picking my brain, it's talking it over, it's giving encouragement. And it's been amazing. And it's all still based upon my brand of brand development, which is relationships, because
I
people
love
do
it.
business with people they know, like, and trust.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Are you the cook, the cleaner, the candlestick maker, or do you have people that work for you?
Well, I am all of the things. I use a lot of different tools, and I also have a really great support system. Janelle Jackson, who works for Rosa Care Management, is kind of like the unspoken strategy partner. She sits down with me. She helps me. And actually, the room where it happens is growing and expanding. The Inner Room Advisory Circle has just rolled out for 2025. It's more like a board space for the room where it happens because, again, I've been doing all of those things myself.
Yep, the cleaner, the candlestick
All of
maker.
the things for the room where it happens. And I was doing 6 of them across South Florida, 3 in Broward, 3 in Palm Beach. So it was a lot. I really needed to think about, how am I going to do all of this? And how do I hire an assistant for something that has no money? It's not monetized. And people are like, well, are
They
you
have
going
a
to start?
great opportunity for you.
Right, it's for free.
Are you still in
And,
school? Because you will get credits
Exactly.
for this. Oh, you're not?
And
I'm
my love
sorry.
and adoration. But, people were asking, is there a membership for the room where it happens? And I'm
Right.
like, no. And who's going to manage that? So Janelle helped me to brainstorm what this looks like. As of right now, the room where it happens is still free. But the Inner Room Advisory Circle is a kind of a board style group of 5 to 7 individuals. It's like a $500 yearly membership investment, headshot and logo, everything on the Room Where It Happens tab under TwillieBryantCreative.com. And also, you're in leadership for all of these things. You also get free entry into the Room Where It Happens evening edition, which has been incredible.
Make one. The ones that you've had within the past several months, I don't know why, and I'm sure you've heard this before. You look at your calendar.
Everything happens for a reason.
I know, all these
Everything.
choices sometimes.
Yeah. So, but at any rate, so am I all of the things? Yes, but that is growing, that is changing, things are scaling.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for 2025.
Well, I know that you also have a few other like personal projects, with you and your husband,
Yeah.
And your family.
Yeah.
And I've always been so impressed with your reach and your capacity. You know, you were talking earlier about your brain. You can only handle so much. I forgot what word you used. Don't try to Google that. However, I do believe in reaching your brain capacity. It's not so much your ability. It's, you know, getting older, wanting to do different things. I've learned to be more aware of my capacity and make decisions and say no gracefully without apologizing, because you shouldn't have to apologize for saying no. And I just did that recently to somebody in the senior space, and she was so lovely. You know?
You'll understand.
I'd like to have a life, a personal life. I've always looked at a pie, it's 100%. I like sleeping. I work. I have 2 children, albeit they're 22 and 24, but, you know, I'm still their mom. You can't just work. I mean, you can, obviously. I know a lot of people like that, but I like to have balance. And I've always believed that even before you started hearing, oh, work-life balance.
Right.
Like, really? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Just be real. Some people don't want it. Some people just want to work. And I think that's really important.
I tried to do that. And I've been giving myself grace, for instance, when where it happens.
Yep.
This is actually a sad moment. The West Palm Beach edition and the Palm Beach edition are paused indefinitely.
Oh.
However, the Boca edition is being revived in March.
Okay.
And that will continue on for now at Avante Boca.
Fantastic.
And so I'm excited for that because I'll still have an opportunity, a space for people that are in the Palm Beach area, but it's still Boca. And that's one of the things I learned about Palm Beach is it's so vast. People live in Wellington, but work in Boca, you know.
Exactly.
And then, so there's still the 3 that are in Broward. Social Workers Need Fun Too, that Pam Avalos and I do together.
Yeah, I love that.
It's been amazing, but we used to alternate between Broward and Palm Beach. For 2025, we've decided to do Broward only. And guess what? We can do that. We're the bosses. We can do whatever we want. But somehow we place these expectations on ourselves. And I think that's what you're talking about too. We don't have to do everything.
That's right.
I made up something back in my banking days when I worked for Bank of America. It was how I made decisions. Am I going to die or am I going to get fired? If none of those things can happen, then I'm good to go. I've got a green light if I want. And that's kind of how I live my life. I'm trying to keep that front of mind. Is anybody going to fire me, disavow me, stop talking to me, or could I lose my life?
Yeah.
The reality is many of our decisions can be quickly made with those 2 things of whether or not it's good to do or not, and not whether or not it's good to do, but whether or not we can say no. And I think that's really what I've been using that criteria for more and more is I can say no because I'm not going to die and I'm not going to get fired.
And I think it's your peace of mind, at least for me, is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I use as a deciding factor, in addition to looking at your calendar and being like, yeah, it's too much.
Oh, girl, I will look at my calendar. See, I have a fully open day, like a packed week, but one fully open day. And someone wants to see if I'm available. I'm not, because that day is a unicorn and completely open. And I'm not putting anything voluntarily on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of liberation with that. And I will say that I feel more like that every single day. I mean, I would say how I felt liberated the day that I left my ex-husband over 20 years ago. However, this is a different kind of liberation. It's light. It's freeing. You're not insulting anybody.
Yeah.
You are just wanting to enjoy the day.
Yeah.
Whether or not you spend it in your PJs on the couch, binge watching Netflix, it's nobody's business.
Maybe I'm in my bonnet and maybe I'm on that Zoom with my camera off.
That's exactly.
For all of you who've been on a Zoom with me over the last week, it's possible I had my bonnet on.
Melinda, we can talk for the longest time, but I'm going to close with the same thing that I opened with, and that I adore the hell out of you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm grateful that April asked me to come to the room where it happens.
Well, thank you for walking into the room and for making your mark and for being who you are and for inviting me on this podcast.
It was a pleasure.
All of the things.
And I look forward to seeing you, hopefully at the Broward edition of The Room Where It Happens.
Ditto.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And don't forget to mind your nest.